Okay. Obesity in the U.S., the increasing epidemic. I'm Abby.
I'm Allie.
I'm Izzy.
And I'm Cassandra.
Obesity in America is becoming a very prevalent issue, so here are some statistics regarding obesity in America. According to the National Health Survey in 2011, the database reported more than 1/3 of the U.S. adults have obesity. U.S. economic costs of the disease of obesity were $270 billion in 2011 and $72 billion for overweight individuals. College graduates are less likely to be obese than those with less than a high school education. In America, the prevalence of obesity continues to increase over years at a time. Some people may practice physical activity and healthy eating habits, whereas others eat unhealthy and ignore healthy activities. With obesity, it doesn't just harm one person, but rather society as a whole. Obesity impacts healthcare, workplaces, and financial issues. With this in mind, we have sociological perspectives and a faith perspective as well. Obesity is a growing concern in America, and we need to understand its impact.
Okay, I'm Allie, just again. I wrote what is obesity and in technical terms because obesity is not just a term for size or girth. Various medical associations label it as a chronic disease, and it's a problem that's quite prevalent in the United States. Although it's often avoided or ignored due to its tendency to be offensive, obesity is not just a weight problem or a societal difference in looks. As it can have serious effects on a person's physical and psychological health. The terms overweight and obesity are not defined or are defined by the body mass index, which is calculated by dividing the weight in kilograms by the square height in meters. So, for example, a BMI of 25 to 29.9 indicates that an individual is overweight. A BMI of 30 or more indicates that a person can be diagnosed with obesity, and someone with greater than 40 are considered to have stage 3 obesity, which can be determined as having morbid obesity. And this is the BMI index to the right. This is a concern based on statistics too. So like I said, it's not just a label. According to a statistic taken by the CDC, this statistic was called the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. It showed that about 39.6% of American adults were obese, meaning that over 70 million adults in the United States are obese. That's split pretty evenly as far as men and women, and 99 million are in the category of overweight. This should cause some serious concern. More recently, it's estimated that 3/4 of the American population will be overweight by 2020. So I've listed some facts about medical costs and how those who are diagnosed with obesity, either overweight to morbid, experience extreme staggering statistics in healthcare prices. And the cost is more than just financial, because obesity can lead to early mortality and increased susceptibility to other diseases. It can also have an impact on the quality of life and is statistically shown to have a poor impact on your relationship with family members as well.
Hi guys, so I'm Izzy again, and I'm doing the sociological theory on the perspective of obesity. So the rates of illnesses and diseases often vary by race, social class, gender, sexual orientation, education level, and social psychological factors, as comfort and pressure. Indeed, obesity is a condition recently claimed by medical community as a disease, is no different and trendy to vary the I can't say that word. Fermentation variables. As a result, medical researchers tend to place emphasis on proximate factors on illnesses such as overeating or genetic accessibility instead of distal factors such as a density of fast food and outlets in a given neighborhood, touched by racism and social economic marginalization. However, obesity is defined as excessively high amount of body fat or disposed tissue in relation to lean body mass. In addition to factors such as race, gender, and socioeconomic status, stressful life events of a social natural need to be included in the definition of social conditions. Variables such as violent victimization, jobless, and as a stress process variable like a social support fall in between the realm of the social conditions?
I'm Cassandra again, and for the faith perspectives, God calls us to love our brothers and sisters regardless of looks. I know a lot of times like we want to fit this certain standard of body shape, or if not, sometimes we feel like we have to follow this certain diet in order to be the healthiest that we can be. But God also calls us to love our bodies and to nourish it. So for example, in 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20, it says, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies." So God would not hate us or condemn us if we are obese. However, overindulging is considered a sin. So we are not called by God to look a certain way or to have the perfect diet. God calls us to treat our bodies like a temple and to properly nourish it. In order to fulfill this, we must learn to balance our eating habits. We do not have to deprive ourselves or overindulge in food, but instead find a healthy balance. So God also does not call us to be perfect in any way, but he does call us to honor him with our bodies. And sometimes in order to fulfill this, there needs to be a balance in a healthy diet and exercise. So yeah, we just need to always make sure that like, no matter what, like we just always have like the best mental state. And sometimes in order to have that, we might need to even like see like a therapist in order to help us understand why we're overindulging or why we feel like we need to overeat or make the wrong choices. And as well as even like having like a nutritionist to help us in order to get our bodies back on track and for it to be how God calls us to be.
So I'm Abby again. And in conclusion, obesity has never truly been recognized as a sociological problem, but now with the increasing numbers in overweight and obese people, we can see its impact on society and worldview. Whether that be through the sociological perspective or faith-wise, every aspect of obesity leaves a large impact on the world. Overall, many people don't realize the damage obesity does to a person's health, but also on society. Changing the trend of obesity to living healthy lives helps us build towards a healthy world and society.